And so you don't need to write down that sentence, but we're going to compare these two equations. So we're going to compare 3x squared minus 6, and we're going to compare x squared plus 6x minus 7. So you can write one down at a time. You don't have to write them both. So I'm going to start with the 3x squared minus 6 equals 0. We kind of talked about this last week. How do you think I can go about solving that, Chase?
You divide by 3.
So I can divide by 3 because that's kind of like my GCF. So I'm going to pull that out as my GCF. Oops. I'm going to be left with x squared minus 2 equals 0. Get rid of this. Oh, does that factor?
Or no.
So the only way binomials factor is it has to be a difference, it is, and square numbers. Two's not. What's my other way to solve? I actually have two, but we talked about it last week. I divide by 3, but I wouldn't have done it yet.
Got it on one side.
Meaning move the
6.
So, square root method. So I'd add 6. I'd say 3x squared equals 6. And then I'd divide by 3. Thanks. And I'd say x squared equals 2. And I'd square root. And I'd say square root of 2, but I'd also need, good job, plus or minus in front of that. And, remember, we got to simplify our radical if I can. Sometimes I have I. Is there a perfect square in 2? No, so there was no simplifying. Would I need an I? No, so it'd be plus or minus square root of 2. Now, if I hadn't realized that, and I had pulled that out, do you think I could have divided by 3 on this step? Yeah, I could have. I could have divided by 3 here and here. I think we've actually done that before. And I could have moved the 2 then. So I can do it there as well. So let's label this either down here or up here. I'm going to call this the square root method. Maybe. So that's one way we have to solve. Square root method. And then let's look at this other one. This other one, we've got x squared plus 6x minus 7 equals 0. Do you think I can do that square root method here?
Maybe. No.
Some of you are saying maybe, some of you are saying no. I would agree with the people that are saying no, but can you tell me why? What do you mean, Carson? So how does that stop me? Chase, can you elaborate besides it just does?
There's no GCF. Or no, that don't even matter.
Well, let's see what happens. So if I was trying to do the square root method, I would add the 7, right? So I'd say x squared plus 6x equals 7. I'm trying to get this x squared by itself, so I'd subtract the 6x. I'd say x squared equals negative 6x plus 7. Now this is by itself. I'd go and I'd take the square root, and I'm trying to take the square root of something that still has an x over here. Can I do that? No. So that's why it doesn't work. So you're right. It's because it has an x squared and an x term. That's how we're going to decide what method to use. Well, what is my other option? Thank you, because we've just done it for 3 weeks. I was hoping we wouldn't forget. So our other option is factoring. Well, good golly, I hope this is a fairly basic factoring. So we're going to put x and x. Owen, I know you're staying with me back there. I know you're going to pull that mask up. And so signs, same or different? Different. So we need 7 and 1. I need positive 7 minus 1. That's going to give me positive 6 in the middle. And that means x is going to give you negative 7 and x is going to be 1. You're going to use factoring when you have an x squared and an x term. You want to use the square root method when you have x squared only, or there was another time we used it. When you have something like x minus a number squared. When you had that binomial squared. So we'll look at a 1 or 2 like that before we get going on the worksheet. Because these are all going to get mixed up and we're going to have to decide which method is the best. Now, we do have one more way to solve, but we're not going to be asked to use it. Do you know what the third way to solve is? Graphing. So we do have a third method. We can solve by graphing. Good news, we're not going to be asked to use that today. We are going to graph later this week. Get ready, get excited.
I won't do it.
Well, you'll lose those points then. All right, so we're going to solve x squared plus x equals 12. X squared plus x equals 12. So we'll have to decide what method. So square root method, we're going to get everything away from x squared. Factoring, we need to get it equal to 0. Carly, do you think this is square root method or factoring?
Square root, no factoring.
Yeah, as soon as I see x squared and x, it's factoring. Factoring, I get it equal to 0, so I'm going to subtract 12. So I'm going to get x squared plus x minus 12 equals 0. Oh, that's not bad to factor, no GCF. Plus 4 minus 3. X equals negative 4, x equals 3. Good to go. Next one. 4x squared minus 20 equals 0. Chris, you think factoring or square root method? So you're really deciding whether it has an x term or not. Does it have an x by itself? So is that square root or is that factoring? Look at your notes. Did you write that part down? Ellie, can you help him out? That's square root. So if there's no x, that's the square root method. So if it's the square root method, we're trying to get this by itself. Madison, what should I do to get that by itself? Let's do that first. So we're going to get 4x squared equals 20. Abby, what should I do next? Good. X squared equals 5. Square root. X equals, don't forget plus or minus. Do I need an I? No. Is there a perfect square in 5? No. So plus or minus square root of 5. Let's go to this one. Plus or x plus square root of 2. No, I'm saying that all wrong. X plus 2 squared equals 16. Emmy, what do you think about that one? Yeah.
We're still square root, right?
We are. We hadn't seen one like this. So this is that binomial squared. So this is where we can square root. It's been a while since we've seen those. We can go ahead and square root both sides. So we're going to say x plus 2 equals plus or minus 4. Do I need an I? No. Excuse me. Alyssa, you remember what I do next? Perfect. Goes in front of that plus or minus. So negative 2 plus or minus 4. Am I good or do I keep going? Keep going, because these are just integers, numbers. So this is where I do negative 2 plus 4 and negative 2 minus 4. You don't necessarily have to show that part, but you do have to do it. Negative 2 plus 4 is 2. Negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6. There we go. This one, 3x squared plus 10x minus 8 equals 0. Emery, which one is this? Factoring, there's an x squared and an x. So is there a GCF? Nope. Ooh, one of those lovely guess and check. 3x and x. Signs are different. Got 8 and 1, 4 and 2. If you think you got it, let us know. Oh, 4 and 2? That order?
What?
In that order? You like,
2 and 4.
I was going to say, you like to put your, like that?
Yeah.
I think you're right. So positive 12x, negative 2x. I know I'm right, kind of let her sneak in there. 10x. So that is right. We got to solve. So I'm going to say 3x equals 2, x equals 2/3. And here I'm going to say x equals negative 4. Let's see. Oh, we'll do this one. We'll call it good. This one's not so fun one. X plus 1 squared equals 4x plus 16. At first glance, what does it look like we can do? At first glance? At first glance, I say, oh, I'm going to get to square root. But then, yes, I think, oh, there's an x here, so I'm probably going to have to factor. But it's not really set up for factoring. So do I have some problem solvers out there? Well, I can't square root this over here. So that's out of the picture. What? I got a FOIL. I got to break this up so I can work with these terms. So the only way to break this up is to FOIL it. So I'm just going to write it down here so I can FOIL. I'm not going to worry about copying that line down. So I'm going to do x times x, x squared. Outer, 1x. Inner, 1x. Last, plus 1, equals this side, 4x plus 16. All right, still combine like terms. So x squared plus 2x plus 1 equals 4x plus 16. We'll now get everything together. So now subtract 4x, subtract 16. So x squared minus 2x minus 15 equals 0. Now it looks like something I should be able to factor. So negative 5, positive 3. So 5 and negative 3. Okay. All right, I'm going to give you the worksheet. We don't have a ton of time, so you don't have to start it. We'll just stop this.